to the round table. Thank y'all for joining us today. First of all, I just wanted to tell y'all thank you for joining us today. This is a Phoenix 22 Rising production. I told you guys I was going to bring you this. It's basically just a show where I wanted to bring real people from all walks of life to discuss everyday events, and because I don't believe that television always gets it right. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce you to my two guests on the panel today. We have from Jinx Entertainment, recording artist Kodak, who has his album on iTunes, Fly High Walk 2. It's out now. He also will have a mixtape called Never Stop the Grind. It'll be out later this fall. Also to my right, we have the CEO of Chad Bumgarner Consulting Firm. He's a speaker, author, leadership, and team building facilitator. He's facilitated a host of training events and is about to release a new book entitled Chad's Playbook to Effective Leadership. Okay, guys, let's go ahead and jump into this real quick. There are basically two subjects that's been burning up the news circuit lately, and I'd like to jump into that real quick. And I wrote down some notes because I wanted to get this right. Basically, we're going to start off by talking about the police brutality. Now, you know, police brutality is nothing new in the black communities. It's always been around. It's always been there. But there's been some new issues that's really sparked a new controversy, and that's the chokehold in New York City on Eric Garner that took his life. This is a 43-year-old man, and the police say that they was attempting to arrest him for selling, untaxed loose cigarettes. But a chokehold came. A guy flew out of nowhere with a chokehold, took this man's life. He had his hands up saying he couldn't breathe. He still died. Okay, so I want to lead off with you, Kodak. Just tell me what you think about this sick situation as it is.
Well, it's wrong in so many different ways. I mean, you got a man who, even though what he was accused of doing was wrong, should have been approached in a totally different light. I mean, when you're a police officer, your job is to serve and protect and to just make people aware of the laws that they break. All that can be handled with vocal comprehension. All that can be handled by talking. You don't necessarily, I believe if you're going to seduce somebody, let it be because they came at you in a violent way. Let it be because you see a weapon on them of some sort, or they're just coming at you aggressively. Yeah, he was kind of ticked off about how they approached him, but I didn't see him as a threat to them at all. And the way they handled it with the illegal chokehold, and
then what, 2-3 guys jumped on him?
Then him saying I can't breathe and stretching his arms out, and basically what it really looked like was a man pleading for his life. Like, because from what I also heard, he had asthma or something like that.
Yeah, he had asthma. He had heart disease too.
Yeah, I mean, when you don't know stuff like that about a person and somebody's telling you, that's like getting stung by a bee and you know you're allergic, but I don't, and you're telling me, hey, I need to go to a hospital, and I'm just looking at you. Exactly. Like, whatever, okay. You know what I'm saying? You die, that falls on my head. That falls on me.
Now, since this gentleman died, do you believe that he should be charged? The police officer or officers?
To the fullest extent. Absolutely.
Okay. Well, we're going to swing that question on Chad. Chad, what do you think about this police abuse that's just caused such controversy?
I think the chokehold was completely uncalled for. I also believe that there's a few bad apples in each and every organization. I think for the most part, cops are there or officers are there to do their job and they do it well. But like I said, you always have a few bad apples that really want to have something to prove. Mm-hmm. And I think the officer that jumped on him and put him in this illegal chokehold was hell bent on bringing this young man Eric Garner down. I don't really like the way Eric Garner was approached. It looked like based off the videotape that I saw, it looked as though he was ambushed. You had one cop in front of him and one to the side that jumped on him. And let's also remember, too, that the cop that put him in the illegal chokehold has other pending cases on him for using that same illegal chokehold on some other people. So he knew fully well that he should not have used that hold on this young man. But he chose to use it anyway.
You're right. Now, I also like to bring up the fact real quick that another reason that might be emboldening police officers to do this is the fact that they have never been persecuted for murders that they have done to anybody. They've never been persecuted. They cannot get a prosecution. Now, people are hoping now because of the fact that the other guy has pending cases. The guy that choked him out has pending cases, and the fact that this young man died, and the medical examiner, I believe the medical examiner ruled it a homicide. So they're hoping this time they can get some justice for it, because I personally believe, now I'm not like some people, I'm not going to sit up here and fake it in front of nobody. I say it straight to the people out here in the internet world right now. I think most of the cops are dirty. I do. I think a lot of them are thrill seekers. I think a lot of them are young kids who try to get in the army and couldn't. I think a lot of them are a bunch of power seeking people. And they want to beat it out of anybody they can, because they believe as a cop I can get away with anything. That's my own personal opinion.
Something else comes to mind too. What movie was that out? Fruitvale Station.
Yeah.
That man was shot by a police officer in a subway. Yeah, I believe it was New York too.
Yeah.
And this was in front of hundreds of witnesses. They had film footage and everything, and the police officer actually said, "I wasn't reaching for my gun. I thought it was my taser."
Now, you and I both know.
You're trained to know where your gun is and where your taser is.
And you and I both know that the gun feels a whole lot different than a taser,
exactly.
Correct? Well, this is the same things that police officers usually use, other than when they get on the witness stand and I fear for my life type of situation, and they get off every time.
What I was saying to bring light to the other situation was that here was a group of young kids who had gotten in a fight on the subway. You know, they weren't trying to start anything, because one of the guys was actually in and out of jail at the time. He was actually trying to stay out of jail and do good for himself. And the group that instigated got away. They ran off. The cops caught the guys who didn't start it, though, started questioning them, abusing them verbally, saying whatever they wanted to. And as soon as the guy tried to move, you turn him on his stomach and you pop him.
So here's the question: would you both agree that in a lot of ways that we empower our police department a little too much? Give them a little too much power.
I think we do so unknowingly. I think we do so. We're raised to believe that police officers are here to protect and serve.
Right.
And we give them that respect almost too liberally.
Right.
But at the same time, as a community, I don't think people are equipped to know when to say enough is enough and handle the situation, because of fear of retaliation from these few bad apples in this organization.
Right.
I mean, that's how I look at it.
Well, I mean, I have to say personally that I don't really think. I think a lot of black people. We know how cops are. We're not surprised when we see this type of brutality, but yet and still we teach our sons and daughters to respect the law, which is kind of like, kind of weird to say when you know that the law is not behind you 100%. When you know that this can jump off with your son or daughter at any time, you don't know which cop is going to do it. But okay, to wrap up this particular debate, I just want to say that the cop that did the chokehold is his badge was taken away. He's on desk duty. And two of the MTs are taken off duty as well.
Yeah, let's get into the MTs real quick. I mean, I know you have another topic to discuss, but the MTs, I think, should be prosecuted as well. Because I don't think, based upon the tape that I saw, I don't think they did enough to assist this young man as far as maintaining his life. At least until the ambulance was on the scene.
Well, it's like they said before, 911's a joke. Especially in our town, they don't.
Well, I mean, that's the thing about
something that's been said a lot.
Both departments, MT and police, are supposed to work coincide together. But as an MT, you're supposed to take that extra little mile to say, "Hey, the man said he can't breathe. We need to get in there and check him out because he might die, or we don't know what might happen. Back up. We're not letting him go nowhere. We just want to check him and make sure he's okay. Then you can handle whatever you got to handle." But the fact that y'all just stood back, like whatever.
And let's not forget that the officers as well as the MTs, they all take an oath before they become officers and MTs, to do the best that they can for the patient or the person of suspect, if you will.
And this has never really worked out for black people. I mean, whatever happened to the old saying of, wound someone and shoot them in the leg, or if they're doing something wrong of that nature. Now it's just like kill. Whatever the situation may be, it's like kill them.
Here's the deal. In this particular situation, let's state all the facts. First and foremost, he was doing something illegal which brought attention to himself.
He was.
Right.
Okay, that's first and foremost. Had
true.
he not been doing that, now mind you, in my opinion, that's real petty. You got a lot of drug dealers and pedophiles and people that really need to be sought after. So for the cops to actually approach this man because he was attempting to sell loose, untaxed cigarettes, I think that's a bit.
Well, that goes along with the broken system of the African American community. I mean, look how many African Americans you have in prison for marijuana charges, where you got serial killers that you let go, and other people you could be chasing down. But who fills most of our prisons? Petty crimes. That's just to show you a little bit of what's going on in real America. I want to take you down. Yeah, he did something illegal to bring something to attention, but was all that attention needed? For that, really?
No, that's what I'm saying.
But that just goes to show. And I'm gonna wrap this up because we got to get to another topic here. But I just wanted to wrap that up. I think personally, for the last word on this particular topic was, I think they overacted. I do agree. They almost always overreact. This is not the first time. I mean, y'all saw L.A. where the police officer beat the black lady down in the street because he had to come and get her crossing lanes in the highway. Yeah. He punched her like a grown man. Mm-hmm. And we all seen that. There's no way you could sit there and defend that. Right. You cops cannot sit there and defend that. I'm sorry. Black people need to start learning the law, learning what they can and cannot do. That's the only thing that's going to save us. Go back to the days of the Panthers when they would sit there and quote you the law. That's the only way we are going to start learning to get what we need and do better. To get them off of us is to learn the law. We don't know the law, so we don't know what they can or can't do.
Right.
Well, I mean, also I do believe too that as a black community we need to be more involved in our community and not sit back on our loins and just expect the cops to do what we pay them to do. Right. Now, there are some cops out there that do their job and they do it quite well. I believe that. But then at the same token, I believe as a black community that they need to, well, I shouldn't say that but we need to come together and take over the communities and take them back over and really put in to the communities what needs to be there, which is a lot more love and attention. And also let these cops know that, hey, we're out here, we're being observant. We see what's going on.
Well, to speak on, I didn't mean to cut you off, but to speak on what you said earlier about, them taking oaths and people not being prosecuted. One of the reasons is because, and I won't say any names, to take my boy, but there's certain police officers who have their own code inside that oath to say basically, hey, if you do something, right, I'm not going to say anything. Mm-hmm. So with that said alone, there's a reason why a lot of these police get away with everything. Your precinct is not going to fold on you.
But the best thing to do is not to put yourself in a position to be suspicious to begin with.
Right.
That's first and foremost.
Right.
A lot of us put ourselves in unwanted and unnecessary positions. Mm. Now, I'm not saying that's an excuse or a valid excuse for the officers to do or to perform the brutality that they do. I'm not saying that. Right. But what I am saying to the black community, especially the youth, is just to use your brain. Mm-hmm. Don't put yourself in these situations to begin with.
I agree, and like I said, to finally have to wrap this particular one up, I have to say, what you said is very true. I just hate the fact that there's, and America probably doesn't know this, but there's always two sets of rules. There's rules for white America, which I'm glad is changing, because what white America doesn't know really, is in the next 5, maybe 10 years, this is going to be brown country. Mexicans and blacks are coming up. The stats are already there. It's going to be brown country. And the fact of the matter is, whites are going to be the minority. So how are you going to act then when the tables are turned? And the things is two sets of rules here. It's the rules they live by and the rules that we have to live by. And it's a shame you have to tell your son or daughter, hey, don't go do this or do that, because you might make the police suspicious of you. They already look at you this one way, so we've got to be very careful. Having a mixed race child myself, it's one of those situations where he might think that, what are you talking about? But he's going to have to learn eventually that there's certain things you can do and certain things you can't. And that's sadness in this world. Now, some people might disagree with me, but if you're not black, you wouldn't understand that. There are two sets of rules that go on here. Now we're going to go to our next topic. We're going to flow on to domestic violence. Now this comes back to black people too. This is the headlines of Ray Rice, the domestic violence Baltimore Ravens running back, who's suspended for 2 games. It's called the big uproar. The people thought it should have been more because of the domestic violence thing. And speaking of that, that's going to bring us to my man from ESPN, Stephen A. Smith.
Stephen A.
He was suspended for a week for suggesting that women should avoid provoking men into assaulting him. Now, I have a problem with this, ESPN, because I think you're starting to go with the flow here. Stephen did not say anything wrong. He was giving his opinion. He was not slighting anyone. My problem with ESPN is you're becoming too much like everybody else. The man did not, he was not Don Imus up here saying any racial thing or anything straight in your face that was harsh. You had a few critics, you folded, and you suspended them for a week. I think that was a little much on your part. It's getting so where you can't say anything now. You guys know Stephen A. Smith is known for doing this. He talks about athletes. He talks about their personal life. This is what he does. And he didn't harm anybody. And you suspended him for a week. Chad, we're going to go with you on this. And what do you think about the suspension for Ray Rice? Did you think it was 2 games was enough or not enough? And what did you think about the suspension of Stephen A. Smith from ESPN?
Okay, the thing with Ray Rice, the domestic violence. First of all, to me, it's not a race thing. It's just an epidemic period that needs to be eliminated. Me personally, this is my personal opinion. I feel like no man should ever put his hands on a woman, no matter what she's doing. If she's becoming that irate with you, then you need to leave the situation. You need to get out of there quick, fast, and in a hurry.
Okay.
That's just me, and I respect that. And then you have some men that believe, well, if she's gonna approach me like a grown man, I'm gonna treat her like a grown man. But let's be real. 99.999% of the times in situations like this, the man is generally stronger physically than the woman. So if anything were to pop off, she's gonna get the short end of the stick 9 times out of 10, unless she comes to that fight surprisingly with something in her hand that he doesn't know about.
There you go.
But if she doesn't have anything, 9 times out of 10, she's gonna get the short end of the stick, like what his fiance, now wife, got.
Who's still married?
Who's still married. Now, I do feel like there should have been a bigger price to pay on his behalf besides 2 games.
Oh, okay. Well, let me stop you right there because I did some research on that now. And I saw one of the commissioners talking about they went back to the statute in NFL football. That is the most that a player has been given for that.
Okay.
So that's why that was.
Okay,
They went back to the statute.
here's the deal. His organization, the Baltimore Ravens, they have yet to do anything, to the best of my knowledge.
Okay.
There's a punishment that they can do as well. I haven't seen them do anything. There needs to be no. Think about it. There's an NFL player, I can't remember his name, that is probably going to be suspended for a year because his drug test showed up positive for marijuana. So you're telling me that you'll kick a player out for a whole year for marijuana, but if he beats down a woman, you only get -2 games.
And I can understand that from a business point of view. And I'll tell you why. It's going to sound a little, but the fact of the matter is, you're taking my test from my company, my NFL. I mean, my Ravens club. You're taking my test. You know what you're supposed to do, what you're not supposed to do, like you're on your job. Your wife and what you did with your wife had nothing to do with my job. That's your personal life. Do what you do, whatever. But when you're on the field, you're taking my test.
No.
That's going to affect
Not
you. You know the rules.
Not necessarily, because every player on that team represents the Ravens on and off the field.
Right, but like I told you before, the ball club did what they were supposed to do according to the statute. We went back and see, okay, well, what did another guy did for doing this with his wife? Oh, he got 2 game suspension. That's what we're going to levy against him. Case closed, off the books. So they went and done the statute. Do more would be like, we're taking him out more games. You know, we need this guy.
So where do your morals kick in?
When it comes to big companies, you know as well as I do about morals. That comes second, maybe even third.
But then you have to understand who buys your tickets to the games. It's not only men. There are a lot of women that love football too, and that is starting to grow. A lot of females are starting to get more into sports, especially football. So you run the risk of eliminating or cutting your ticket sales and paraphernalia in half, because a lot of paraphernalia is made for women now too, along with men.
But that's a good point. That's a good point. Let's switch over to Kodak. Kodak, what you got?
To be
What
honest,
do you think? Because I stand somewhere different. I know you do too. Go ahead.
That's always a touchy subject because, to be honest, if it wasn't Ray Rice, nobody would care. You know, you gotta think when you in that. Like, I even date back, and a lot of people don't like touching on. I date back to Chris Brown and Rihanna. Had that not been Chris Brown, nobody would care.
Yeah, how many black people?
But to touch on what Chad said, when you are in that Ravens uniform, you do represent that team on and off the field. So you have to think logically. If I put my hands on this woman and this goes big, then I am the Baltimore Ravens player Ray Rice. I'm not just normal Ray Rice. who just hit a woman. And
It's just like with Kodak. If he goes out and do something stupid, he's not just Kodak. He's under Jinx Entertainment.
exactly.
So that's shade on Jinx
True,
Entertainment.
true. But I want to ask y'all one thing, both of y'all right now.
Okay.
What do you think the average postal worker, teacher, or y'all seem to be very enlightened brothers, but what do you think your average teacher or postal worker or UPS worker or anybody, do you think they really think when I come home and me and my old lady get into a fight, I can't get in a fight, I might lose my job, I represent the post office. I mean, come on.
But see, you gotta think that.
You really think that every time they get into a
understand
fight?
that though, that's different because there's thousands of different postal workers out here, and I don't know every last one of them. You know what I'm saying? They're not in the light necessarily.
No, I get what you're saying, but I'm saying, do you think those guys as workers?
I don't think
they still represent their
anybody
cause?
knows from day to day what your mood is going to be or how you're going to react to a certain situation.
Well, let's be honest too. Like Kodak said, if you're not in the limelight, 9 times out of 10, people are not really going to care that much. You got to look at these situations.
That's
Ray
true.
Rice
That's true.
is the running back for the Baltimore Ravens. He's in the limelight. Chris Brown, one of the baddest entertainers of our day, he's in the limelight. So when things like this happen to people in the limelight, it's going to get scrutinized. You're going to have a magnifying glass on it because of that. If that happened, if the situation like that happened with me and my wife, or you and your wife, or Kodak and his wife or girlfriend or whatever, we would not be on the news of ESPN and ABC and CBS and all those talking about the abuse. Now we might be on local news, but that's as far as it's gonna come.
Okay, now everybody here is giving their thing. Oh, what'd you stand on the hitting women thing?
Oh yeah, as far as
Real
the hitting
quick.
women thing go, man, I mean, I don't agree with it at all. I feel like, I mean, especially like for even parents like y'all who got daughters, you would think, how would you react to their boyfriend or friend, period, being male and beating up on them?
But you know what? I'm glad you mentioned it because it's like I talked to my daughter quite a bit, and I was also mentioning it to my wife. I said, we have to raise our daughters to understand that every young male that they encounter is not going to be raised the way we were raised.
Right.
So you're going to run into some young men that have a different mindset. Like if you come up to my face and you pushing and hitting on me, I'm gonna hit you back.
Right.
So I always train my daughters that, look, if you ever get into an altercation with a young man, just walk away.
Right.
Don't get in his face and start. You never want to poke the bear.
Right.
Okay.
Now see me, I'm kind of on Chad's side a little bit, but I got my own little flow. Basically, I have a daughter too, and people get really upset when I say that. So I'm like, I was always raised, whoever it is, they hit you, you hit them back. That's my situation. I'm not talking about this ghetto situation, and when I say ghetto, I mean people who got this kind of attitude. Where you got a female that's yammering in your face and you hit them. Okay, you know what? You haven't been raised right if you're a male. If you can't take a woman in your face running her mouth and you can't walk away, that's a problem. I'm saying if that woman puts her hands on you, that's a different story. I think when it comes to that point, you can, by law, go down to the police station and file charges on her. Now, if I can file charges on you, I should be able to hit you back. Because like I said before, a woman can catch a man off guard real easily now if you ain't suspecting it. Come up and catch you with a coat, bam, right to your
That's
face. And you
true,
go, whoa.
Lee, but look at this. If a man and a woman is face to face and they're having a confrontation, that's just like kids picking on kids. You ever heard the phrase, go pick on somebody your own size? That's basically what you're looking at. When you have a man and a woman in a confrontation, that's not a fair fight.
I'm not talking about talking. We can talk until the cows come
I'm talking
home.
about if she puts her hands on you.
If you
That's
put
still
your
not a fair
hand,
fight.
if you put your hands on me, this is not about being fair. This is about catching a man. Any man can get caught off guard with a left hook or a good smack to the chops. I mean, you can be like, whoa, and just react. It ain't no punch. It's like, it's just a quick blow to, oh,
Well,
dang,
see,
she fell. Or I pushed her.
at that point,
I mean, come on.
At that point, it's
time to walk away.
Yeah, because seriously,
After you put your hands
what
on
I'm
me,
saying,
it's a little...
what I'm saying is, okay, y'all can be in the midst of arguing, and I've seen it. A girl can just throw a quick three.
Exactly.
And certain men, you're right. Certain men are gonna react accordingly.
Exactly.
Because they're gonna feel like, oh, I just got attacked. I'm going back in attack mode. You know, like Chad would say, certain men would be like, I mean, we're men. We're built to take certain stuff. You know what I'm saying? And like he said, a woman, not necessarily, unless they just come with something else. Unless you a Layla Ali or a trained MMA fighter or something. Most of the time, your hits ain't gonna really do nothing. It might sting, but you ain't really.
Your pride is more hurt than your body.
I can't believe this woman just hit me like that.
And then my thing is this, not to cut you off, and I apologize.
Yeah, go ahead.
But my thing is this: who's gonna get the severity
Exactly.
of the situation?
Exactly.
I don't care what she did to you. If you put a hand on her any way, shape, or form, who's gonna be in jail for at least 24 hours? It's not gonna be her.
Exactly.
Once again, I do not believe in beating the girl down like Chris did. I don't believe in that. I don't believe punching until she's bloody. I'm just saying, when these things happen, these brothers seem to think she's gonna give you a glancing blow, and you're like,
No,
oh.
no,
that ain't
that's not what
what we
I'm
I'm
saying.
saying,
That's not what we're
if she
saying.
catches you one good time and you just react, just like you, because it's like when a dude would just hit you. It's like you just react. You don't sit there and be like, oh man, let me walk this off. If a girl hits you, because that sometimes I've seen brothers, man, girl, you need to go calm down. They walking away. She beating his back in. He walking away. You know what I'm saying? And you swat her down. Let me call the police. You see what I'm saying here? I'm not talking about the brothers who smack women in the mouth for talking. I'm talking about women who come at you.
I mean, you know, it's funny because I've heard a lot of women talk like you.
Even Whoopi Goldberg,
I've heard a lot of
Whoopi
women.
Goldberg said it on The View.
To
She
be
said,
real, a lot of women will tell you like, I believe if a woman provoke a man, that he
Yeah.
got that right. But at
And
the same time,
Whoopi, thanks for having my back on that. I appreciate
but
that.
at the same time, though, I mean, not taking away from what y'all saying, but you still gotta think about the type of person that you are. Like, that's a long lasting impression on your character. Like,
It's a long lasting
You know
impression
what?
of
I
their
agree.
character.
Yeah.
But the thing of the matter is, you're not worried about her character. You can't live out her character. You can
Yeah.
only live out yours. At the end of
Exactly.
the day, when people look at you, this is what they're gonna see.
I mean, because
Exactly.
worst case scenario, even if a woman did beat your face in and you struck her back, they're not gonna care about the fact that she beat your face in. They're
Right.
gonna say
That you pummeled her.
Pummeled her.
America,
That's-
I don't care what you think. I'm not getting my ass whooped for you, you or you. I'm not gonna look stupid for you. This is not about my personal.
it's
this is
more-
not,
see, for you, it's more about
I'm
pride.
about to say this is not about my pride.
Yeah, it
this is about if you caught me off guard. This is what I'm trying to say, America. I'm not a woman beater. I don't put my hands on women. But if you put your hands on any man the wrong way unexpectedly, I'm saying stuff can happen. Be prepared. Stuff can happen. I happen to know stuff can happen.
So did Chris get caught off guard, or did he just beat her down?
That's what I'm saying. Nobody knows what happened because Chris never told his part of the story. She could have elbowed him in the teeth
because,
before
bro, that's
then.
what we
don't
were
know.
saying. It don't matter what
It
Chris
don't
said.
matter to America.
They wanted Chris
It
to
don't matter
apologize
to America.
and
But see,
I mean, you're
Chris
right,
didn't
but
say
that's
that.
the society that we live
Well,
in.
Christian
though.
went and pressed charges. That's what I would have done to that little heifer. I'd have pressed some
How?
charges on her. I'm talking about if he wouldn't have went to that extent to make her look like garbage.
Okay,
after the
but
fact.
nobody jumped on Rihanna for her hitting Chris.
Exactly. This is what I'm talking about. This is the sick part of America.
But that's what
this
I'm
is the
saying.
sick part of
Reed.
America. And with black men, it's worse with black men.
When he retaliated, he got the brunt of this whole media circus.
Right.
He got the brunt of. So that's what I'm saying. As far as men are concerned, don't even put yourself in that situation. If
Well-
you see it escalating to that point, just walk away or just
And-
hang up the phone or whatever it is.
and
I
y'all-
would have just
and y'all-
pulled my car over and told her to get
Get
out.
out.
And y'all heard it here first. He said he would have pulled it over, told her to get out, which is very good. I honestly heard that she got a cell phone call from him and started smacking him in the car. So we don't really know what happened there. But like I said before, this is my first round table show, and it went great. I'm gonna close out. I'm gonna get the last word, and the last word is pretty much this. Before I let you guys plug yourselves again, I know y'all waiting for that. But this is me with the last word, and all I want to say is on the police brutality. Black people, we need to start learning the law. We need to start utilizing the law so we can rise as a people. Okay, we need to start policing the police. That's the only way things are going to get better. I'm sure there are some good cops out there. I just ain't seen one yet. As far as the domestic violence is a serious problem, and it seems to, even in police brutality and domestic violence, black folks seem to always be in the headlines. So I look at it as a race problem. Are we the only ones doing it? No. But it seems to be a lot in the headlines, and maybe we can do more by doing what Chad and Kodak says, which is by just relaxing and trying to leave and de-escalate the situation. Now, before we close, I'd like Kodak to go ahead and tell what you have to say about your new coming album again. 'Cause I know you're ready to plug yourself. Go ahead.
I mean, pretty much, y'all know what it is, man. Fly High Walk 2 is on iTunes, available right now. If you ain't got it, go get it. If you don't have an iPhone or iTunes account, you can still go to Google Play, Amazon.com. For my gamers, it's on Xbox Music as well. Late this fall, Never Stop the Grind, the mixtape will be available on thatpip.com. And yeah, man, just be ready for new material, we're working on new tour coming. You know, it's Jinx Entertainment all day, man.
All right, Mr. Bumgarner, go ahead and.
Yes, I do have a book coming out in the fall. It's called Chad's Playbook to Effective Leadership. You can also check me out on Twitter at Chad Bumgarner, and also my website www.chadbumgarner.co.
All right, now we're coming back to the middle. Now, like I said, this has been the round table. Don't forget, I'm going to be posting this on the website as soon as I can. It's going to be www.phoenix22rising.weebly.com. You can also get me on Twitter, and you can also get me on Facebook. All those things will be below your screen as soon as this comes out.
And it's a
on the
round
internet.
table, not a square one. It's round.
That's right.
All the way around.
This is the first round table, y'all. Check it out. And this is going to be, this is it. So y'all have a nice day and tune in later.
Really?